how do you manage this whole thing? Because there's the I know I'm asking you a lot of
Yeah.
big broad questions, because there's one, your story, say design approach that you need to do for during the development phase of your comic.
Yes.
Then you're doing multiple projects on the other side. How do you manage it on the time wise? How do you get things done? Because one of the biggest things I've seen people is like, at least I see in myself a lot, is like start big projects and drop them,
Right.
not finish them.
Okay, so my method is, so I always try to get my client work done first. So that's my priority at the beginning of the day. I work on client work, and I'll work on that for either half the day or the full day, depending on what I got on my plate that day. I always need to make sure that like my clients have their work done on time.
Right.
That's important, because it's unacceptable if I'm handing in things late. Beyond my control, sometimes things happen and you communicate with your clients. That's important. Keep that line of communication open. If you can't make a deadline, let them know why or whatever. But client work comes first. And then I usually use my evenings for my own stuff. I sort of use that time. Like, it's like, so like my kids are in bed at that point. Sometimes my wife will watch TV together, and I'll draw on my iPad. I recently got an iPad Pro, so that's been helpful. So I can do that.
I saw that post. Yes, I remember that.
Yes, so that's been good. So like my evenings are mine, and then the weekend I usually try to make parts of my day. I try not to work as much on the weekend, but I still work on the weekend probably 4 or 5 hours during the day, and then evenings again. And I try to make that time for my own projects if I can. Sometimes it has to be client work because I just have a deadline that I need to meet, and so that's kind of how I juggle it. It's client work comes first, and then evenings I try to make for myself, and weekends I try to make for myself, and that's where my projects live, or evenings and weekends.
A lot of it is simple, huh? Just properly allocating particular amount of time for these things, and just chipping away at it.
Chipping away at them and trying not to take on too much, although sometimes it can be, I find as a freelancer, it's sometimes hard to say no to projects, especially if it's a good project, then the client, like, it might lead to more stuff. You sort of, and the pay is good, and, you sort of go, okay, I'll take that on too. And I can get myself into trouble sometimes doing that, because it's just, the hours add up. It becomes intense, and then I have less time for my own work. Part of the reason I started a Patreon account was because I wanted to start generating more income that allows me to take on less freelance. Like, that's sort of the goal. Like,
how's that experience? How's the Patreon experience?
Yeah, it's been really positive so far. It's my biggest fear before I started Patreon was I didn't want to necessarily become beholden to it. Like, I didn't want it to be something where I feel it's almost a burden to have. Like, that was my one thing. I was like, I don't want to, overpromise that I can't, because these people are paying you, and every month, and they're expecting a certain level of, work coming their way.
True.
And I'm still trying to find a balance, like, within it, like, of what the Patreon is. I think some people look at it like maybe it's a how to draw course, but it's not. Like, I try not to present it that way. It's more like I'm just going to share more of the behind the scenes work. You get to see the PSDs, like that Vader PSD you saw back in the day. It's like, the art shops I'm doing, I share the whole PSD with people, and they can just have access to my whole file, so they can see those layers, see how it all, see the, have access to that stuff. And I'll do like live draw videos. I try to do them once a month. I've done a draw over video where people sent in their characters, and I did sort of live critique over top, like, so they could see, me drawing the volumes I talk about and things like that. Right. So there's an element of learning in there, but I'm not necessarily a teacher. It's not a course. I try not to present it that way, but I think that's the balance. I'm trying to find, like, where's the balance where people feel they're getting something out of it.
You should
But-
put one though. You know, you should
What's
put out like a course or something.